Roshan.
How are you doing?
Very well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So good to see you.
Same here. Same here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for agreeing to our chat.
Not at all, Krishna. It's been. I was wondering, saying that I mean, it's just wonderful to catch you anywhere, whether it is at EVENTFAQS or otherwise. So I'm just happy that this became the opportune moment to do both.
Same. We have a lot of people joining us, but just to give people context, just in case they don't know why they're here, we have Roshan Abbas, the newly elected president of EEMA. I know he insists on saying president-elect until the 11th, but to me, of course, it's as good as the new president of EEMA. And we're going to have a super chat. Roshan is going to tell us about his plans for EEMA going forward. We're going to try and make it like a slight brainstorming session, because whether we like it or not, as EVENTFAQs, we've created a lot of ideas for this industry in our own minds. So I'm going to bounce some of those ideas by Roshan and see how, how we can also contribute as one, because we've always enjoyed that process of, working together with the association and the industry. So I think we get started. Just to dive in directly, Roshan, I know that you've taken massive efforts during your campaign period, and even generally from the time that you decided that you would contest, to speak to everyone in the industry. I know you've really personally spoken to every member, got their opinion on various things, trying to understand their vision now to then outline what the objectives and the priorities of EEMA should be, which I think is a great way of going about it, because we need that unity in our voice as far as the industry and the association goes. But I genuinely feel that there's also an aspect of legacy that past presidents have left with them with EEMA. So whether we like it or not, there is that genuine touch of personality that every president has left. And if you can just take us through what you feel EEMA has achieved till now, so then we can speak about the journey ahead. What are the most important things that have?
Karishma, I mean, you're absolutely right. We had a very rich legacy of past presidents. Initially, when the conversation had happened between a few people, I remember in February and March, conversations started floating around saying, what do we do for president? And I was actually rooting for a woman president. I was saying that we should have a woman president. It's just that and I promise that, not just from any other perspective, but because I genuinely feel that about 40% of our workforces are women. And that was something. And then obviously it's having a team that will have a lot of representation. Sorry,
there's a little lag
that popped up, so it must have gone for a second. But you know what? When I first started thinking about this, the big thing that came to my mind was that people like Michael's big task was to bring people together. And Michael, we used to keep calling him Saint Michael all the time, right? And we used to keep joking and saying, so it would be like, Saint Michael has asked us, we have to do this, because Michael's father figure role was very important, I think, for EEMA. Brian, when he came, brought all his personality, bringing everyone together. Brian's extremely democratic, extremely, let's get everybody on board. Let's get everybody to come with us. And I think that's what Brian did. And that's what EEMA needed at the time, because we were still a body trying to find a structure.
Absolutely.
Immediately after that, we ended up with Sabas, and Sabas had 2 terms. And Sabas then decided to take us to the next level. And there was this whole thing of almost bringing the sheer size and scale to EEMA, of saying, let's do things that people get to see on a world stage. Let's make a global awards. We tried to do that once. We had a big fundraiser campaign that happened. We set up some committees. We also, at that time, ended up having the option of nominating teams rather than electing teams. And that, of course, is something which allowed for a lot of speed in doing things. So things happened, they happened at speed. After that, Sanjoy came. Sanjoy brought the whole culture lens to this. And, Sanjoy has great relationships with the industry at large, with the government. Again, he has a very global view. And I think that this was something that we tried to do. So all these years, I think we moved, we had spirit, we had scale, we had systems, we had all of these things. And now it is most important that there is a clamoring of people saying, let us be heard. Also, somewhere, and I don't think any association can be perfect, but at some level, we became known for the two big conventions we would do.
Yeah.
And everything else that would happen in the year would happen. But I don't know whether it wasn't talked about enough, etc. So I immediately coined, and you know that I'm a bit of an advertising brain in that sense. My whole thing was, what can I coin to get this point across? So I coined these two phrases. One was Har Baat Ek Saath, and the other was Bring the Pulse Back. And and Pulse was very simple because it talked of my 5 objectives. It said there's prosperity, and I constantly want to underline the fact that profit. Yes, we all look for profit, but prosperity talks about looking for profit for you and me.
Yeah.
Prosperity talks of an ecosystem, not an individual. And we should be very cognizant that today it's not about I will survive. It has to be about we will survive.
Absolutely.
And so that was very important to me. The second was unity. And when I say unity, I mean unity in diversity. I mean, it's enshrined in our constitution. But even here, we have wonderful members in Bhubaneswar, in Coimbatore, in Cochin, in, Madhya Pradesh, everywhere, spread across, and Guwahati, etc. And all of them are saying, we are all able, we are all capable of doing various things. So my biggest point was to speak to all these people to say, let's celebrate everyone.
Yeah.
And that was what the U was. Then I talked of leadership, and when I say leadership, I'm again very clear. I'm talking of, there are great leaders here, but let's celebrate young leaders. I want to genuinely look at very young leaders, because that's where you learn from. That's where I learn from. And women, for a fact. And again, no tokenism. It has to be about giving them opportunity, and then they fly. I know that they will do it. I have most led by the S was very critical, which was about Sambandh. Then I said that Sambandh, Raj Nayak said this in a conversation with EEMA, and he said, मैं तो हमेशा से विश्वास रखता हूँ संबंध या संबंध. And it stuck with me because I said this is so important. Relationship, relationship oriented industry, and Samvad is dialogue, and dialogue is critical at a time like this to be heard in the places that matter, to be heard at every forum. And I did feel that is something I could do well and convey. And right at the end is education. And again, education is not about skilling. It's about reskilling for these times. It's about standards and practices. So that's what I did. So I said, to follow that legacy, I must have a plan.
Yeah.
I must have a vision. And I think the one thing that I wanted to add to that legacy was to be able to be a listening leader. And I keep saying that if you don't listen, then you're autocratic, and that I would never.
I'll take on some things that you mentioned because I've heard it in the past as well in conversations. So I actually had a few things to ask about them. But just, I agree. I can't agree with you more on what you said about Michael, then Brian, Sabas, and Sanjoy. But I feel like that was something we realized after their tenureship. So if you could just round up what you feel people will speak about Roshan's tenureship, what will be definitely achieved, I know it doesn't have to be complete perfect, but is there those 2, 3, 4 things that without a doubt you feel after, maybe it's 1 tenure or 2, but we'll say
101%.
that.
No. So, again, Krishma, I've sort of taken this on as a mission, because my whole thing is that, again, I think the first 90 days of leadership is very critical, and therefore I have a 90-day plan already in place. Some of that is trying to aim for the moon. We've been wanting industry status for the longest time. Now, I don't have a magic stick to make us get industry status tomorrow. Will I work towards it? Yes.
Yeah.
What I do believe I will be able to achieve in these 2 years is professionalism, because we have a very strong secretariat now, and we need to use that and work with it. Because earlier, in the first years, many of EEMA's projects ran from individual people's offices, and we must appreciate that people gave of themselves in their places. But now we have a professional secretariat. The second thing that we also have to a large degree is this platform of digital, and I said that a digital first EEMA, when I say that, so you will remember it for a digital first EEMA, you'll remember it for monthly meetings where we will be able to do and get all our members together like this. So I think inclusivity, digital first, professionalism, and at least some or the other physical or digital event that plants our flag in the country, not in a city, not in Delhi, not in Bombay, but you will actually see us diversify and go to many other cities, because that's what's important. We need to bring that. I think these are a few. I do have a couple of plans that sound a little like Xanadu, etc. But when I start getting close to them, I will tell you, say, okay, oh, he achieved the impossible. That would be brilliant. But again, I'm a little pragmatic, so those I will hold.
Yeah, no, we'll look forward to those as well. Let's talk about the current situation where 2,000 trained event professionals in the organized sector of the event industry have potentially even 3,000 maybe in another month have lost jobs. That's a serious trained talent that's available out there now. You mentioned reskilling. Is there some way we can pivot this situation into an opportunity to really see how we can harness their talent?
Absolutely.
And what is your plan there? How do we then, can we even pivot it to somewhere where we can start getting global recognition as an event industry? Do we have an opportunity now as a level playing ground to really,
I have friends who are comedians who are doing shows for the US and being loved there, right? When I see that, I sometimes believe that our trained manpower could be global manpower. For one, we need to create some initiative that actually offers them that opportunity, for which even simple things like everybody having a LinkedIn profile, having recommendations, being certified for at least 8 or different kinds of training. So for example, how many people can say that they are certified in using Zoom? It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But why can we not create it? Because I've done nothing except in the last 4 months but experiment with multiple teams on how to use the screen for doing plays, doing concerts, doing live things, doing walkthroughs. And we have that expertise amongst the entire set of EEMA fraternity. So 2-3 things are definitely going to happen. Siddharth Chaturvedi, who's going to be our general secretary, is very passionate about doing this SOPs and standards and procedures. So that's something we're definitely going to do. And that will again require people to be skilled in that. I mean, imagine being able to go to a venue and say, I am skilled in making sure that your place is living up to the COVID SOP standards. Now, are there COVID SOP standards? There are many floating around, but we are an industry body. We should be able to come out with one set, which we will. I hope within 2 weeks of taking over, we will have those out. And we will offer that training to people saying, get trained in this so that you can go to your local places and say, I'm certified. I can actually come and help you do this better. That will be one profession that will be there. Zoom operator is the second profession that I think is there. The third is, our people have a great ability to crisis manage. And that ability is something that I think can be harnessed. I believe that if you put an event team to manage any crisis situation, after the army, we would be the next.
Yeah.
Right? And therefore bring that. I actually want to offer every state government, every central government body which cares to listen, the ability to say, tomorrow you want to do, I mean, we're a highly religious and spiritual country. If you want to do all your religious festivals, why not let our trained manpower be there to run it for you?
Yeah.
Let it remain pristine to its purpose. But let it remain safe and sanitized and well run by our people. And again, I would like that opportunity to be available to these individuals who are available. Also, I do think there is the need, with the permission of those who have lost their jobs, because we need to be respectful of them, to say, can we create, just like Brian Chesky did with Airbnb, a bulletin board where we can put up their resumes and say, hey, I'm not in a position to keep this person, but this person is great. Today, I don't have the money to do it. Otherwise, I would do it. I mean, And we all face this, the biggest to the smallest. We need to do this with a lot of heart. We need to do this. We had Amit Singhal from Asian Paints talking to the event fraternity on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his ideas were so contrarian, and I wanted people to hear them. I wanted people to know, and Siddharth Ganeriwala was doing that interview. He is becoming competition to you in terms of being an interview, by the way.
That's great.
But he was able to ask a lot of pertinent questions, and Amit had answer after answer, and it was inspiring to leave that session to say, it's not all dark times, He talked of how they pivoted to becoming a sanitization service.
Wow.
And again, I was like, if we took all our production departments, trained them in how to sanitize places, could they not be doing this?
Yeah.
Right? So we'll need to think with a slightly different lens.
Yes. In the contrarian spirit, Roshan, I know I keep saying there is a breed of unique Roshan brand that can come into EEMA now. And you come with the positive, creative mind. You always push innovation. You also have great experience with startups to really fuel a company so that it kind of comes to the right platform so that it starts to get global recognition. You work in global scenarios with your WPP. Is there something in that we can, as an industry, benefit from? Because then we're looking at a level playing.
You've taken the words from my mouth, because one of my agendas was about doing a startup fund. And I did mean an emergency fund.
Yeah.
See, an emergency fund is, can I provide for you? No. A startup fund is, can I fuel your idea?
Yes.
And I'm absolutely keen. And I actually, in the first week of the crisis, some of us were called to speak to EEMA members. And I think this was in April that I actually spoke about the idea of saying, we live in a VUCA world. I mean, volatile, uncertain, chaotic, right? Ambiguous. What do you need at times like this? You don't need old people giving you old ideas. You need new people with new ideas.
Yeah.
And what do we have? We have the ability to fund them. Each year, I personally invest in about 5 to 10 different startups. And these are not mega investments. People also feel that, oh my God, I need to invest crores. No, you don't. You need to invest money, some time, give off your contact list, give off your experience. And that's what we have in spades. I mean, we've got tons and tons of it. So let us do that for, the industry at large. And I think we'll have something really worthwhile.
Yeah, because I genuinely feel with the current, or rather, I don't want to demean what we have as an industry, but we're struggling with the government. We're struggling for recognition. We're screaming for people to look at us. When actually, if we find this one unique opportunity that automatically puts us on a higher ground, maybe then the government starts taking us more seriously. Because, I mean,
also, it's a matter. I'm sorry, I'm pouring my tea. I hope that's okay. Also, you see, Karishma, the other factor is that we have always looked inwards, and I don't blame people for looking inwards, because they look inwards because it's always just about survival. Year on year, something or the other keeps happening. And you've got to break out of that mode. It's very critical to somewhere say, if we reach out, I actually want to reach out. And I've been starting to build a network of the people I know, and it was so, during my campaign at one day, I wanted to say, guys, I come from, Hindu college where almost every second person was studying to join the civil services, right? And they are all over. And I've actually reached out to all of them.
Oh, nice.
And I've said, listen, I need your support. I need you all to, in your cities, and and some of them head divisions, some of them head disciplines, and they're spread across the nation. And I said, listen, just tell your people, we are there to help. I don't want them to see. This is the contrarian view also. One is to keep saying, please help me, please help me, please help me.
Yeah.
The other is to turn and say, how can I help you?
Yeah.
And I know we can. I know we have the ability to do everything from run standard SOPs, help them build things together. And you do that, and suddenly someone says, these are really valuable people. How are we valuing them? And we are, because, one of the things that we've said in my manifesto, and we've actually said in most every manifesto, Samit also said that, and, it's about the fact of saying, getting money from various government departments, etc., who owe us. Now, see, we're not asking for what is illegitimate. We're asking for what is legitimately owed for us, and not for any other reason except that it can be dispersed down the line.
Yeah.
And
Keep you
look at the
going.
number of agencies it will support, the number of people, because and also, I mean, I find that Lalit Gatani was sharing with me some numbers, and I looked at those numbers and I was astounded, saying that why do we say that we are a 7,000, 10,000 crore industry? If you take religious events, political events, sports events, exhibitions, corporate events, social events, and everything else, I think the size of this industry is humongous. We don't count them currently.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. Because if you do, you will realize that perhaps we would be amongst the largest employers of manpower in this country, one of the largest people who create the social fabric of our nation.
Yeah. You mentioned once not once, but recently in an interview that there is possibly an opportunity for India to reinvigorate its inbound tourism with the help of the event industry. Now, you must be already aware that destination marketing, event tourism is of a super interesting topic for me personally, for our organizations, because we really look at international examples of how Vienna built its entire tourism economy on events. And many such. I mean, we've discussed it in the past. What are your ideas there, and how do you think that the membership of EEMA, not just generically the event industry, can contribute to maybe some amount of bringing back tourists into India, getting India into the limelight?
So see, the world thrives on public-private partnership models. And in India, in the event sector, I know only of a couple of people who have had the ability to do that. And these are ideas which are as old as EEMA. I remember everyone from Rahul Gomes, Deepak Pawar, Brian, everybody so excited about the idea of the beach festival to be done in Bombay. And then it dissipated because I think everyone's day-to-day jobs took over. My point is, why can joint IPs not be created with multiple members taking charge of various aspects and participating in them equally if possible? We have to almost create, and I do believe that the Ministry of Tourism in Maharashtra was doing this, and there were conversations happening, and Ashish Imrajani from Book My Show had spoken to me and told me about this. Again, Rahul had told me about this. Mohammed Bhai had mentioned this to me, saying that they are very keen to build Bombay, etc., as a global destination, but build India. Now, two things will happen. Post this pandemic, number one, people in India will explore every place in India because nobody wants to travel far right now.
Exactly.
We don't know what are the rules, we do not know what are the regulations, etc. I don't know if I land, will I be quarantined, will I not be quarantined, how long, where, what, etc. So, being within your own country is going to be critical. Now, I know that the government put its own mind to say, okay, 50 people can gather right now, but that's because they're using logic. What if they were to know that we would say that there are venues that can take 1,000 people, which could be socially distanced and built for 1/3 the capacity? Hotels are opening with 1/3 the capacity.
Yeah.
So if an event venue can hold X number of people, why can we not have 1/3 the people instead? People need to put forward some proposals, and as we start building a richer tapestry of events that bring people to India, and we must be very clear and say, why do people come to India? They come to India because of the color, because of the festivals, because of the philosophy, because of yoga, because of the food, because of the culture. And we've got festivals across the nation to have this.
Yeah.
If we were to again build these into bigger IPs and almost do what JLF has done for Jaipur, it's not a cultural festival in India. That brand now exists across the globe. Similarly, when Goa has started the festival that has just Serendipity has started, but Serendipity today has a cultural footprint that impacts all of Goa. And we need to be able to build those kind of proposals, and the soft power of culture needs to be recognized with us coming up with these proposals and not asking the government only to put in the money. I do feel that they can be treated as ventures, and if people were willing to treat them as ventures, it would be something we would support.
There's also, I mean, I'm going back to the events now, IPs of EMA. And you very rightly in the initial part of this chat said that EMA has come to be known for its IPs. But it's come to be known for its IPs because it's the most prominent and the most perhaps subscribed to part of the association. But I think, I mean, again, this is my own curiosity and my ideas coming into play here. But I think that, where you come from, every IP has such a distinct personality. It has character. It has characteristics that are unique, no matter, you can't supplement it for anything in the world because it belongs to that. Do you think you'll be bringing that breed of Roshan into EMA's IPs? The reason, again, I ask is because we brainstorm before WOW Awards all the time. I'm always talking to you saying that, let me quickly take all the cool ideas. So just out of, now what my competition is going to be, but what is it? What do you think you'll bring on to those ideas?
Absolutely. No, I'm telling you, I think these discussions have already started. And the other factor is that, I'll tell you, we have a lot of great talent. So I want to not be the sole channel. I know that people like Kanishka Singha or Jay Muna or Om Pradyut we've got Nazif and Tarsem and so many other people, and Chanchal Sanya sitting in Delhi, and Gautam Jain, Pramod Lunawat in Calcutta, Siddharth Chaturvedi, everyone's that. I could just keep rattling off names, but these are people who do this. Vijay Arora in Delhi has built IP after IP, and brilliant. I was seeing what he was doing yesterday and day before. So we need to know that we have the strength within. The power of digital is this. I was telling someone the other day that I think I'm going to set a Guinness Book of World Records for the maximum number of lives and conferences, etc. I really think I must have, in 100 days, I must have done over 150 of these.
Wow.
Now what is it? It's about using your time efficiently. It's about entering a Zoom meeting with a goal. It's about turning and saying, here is a shared Excel sheet. Can everybody have a look? It's about understanding what's the brainstorming software to do this online. We need to do these kind of things. And we need to, again, I keep saying, be inclusive, reach out to I've spoken to friends. Manav Tarani, the friend of mine who runs Iksa, which is the hotels, and restaurant piece. She has a lovely... I spoke to it's just important to build... again, I just feel that the strength of the network that we have, which we don't exploit, we can't become about personalities, right? I can bring a lot to it, but if I did everything myself, then, and God willing, I could and I did, 2 years later, it would be, it was about a personality. No, it needs to be about a collective. Yeah. It has to have the communal philosophy.
Yeah, but you have to also keep the politics in check. And I think that's something, if anyone can do it.
No. I am, viciously. I will be, I'm a very apolitical person because it's fine. People are people, and if 180 people need to have war rooms set up to manage an election, then, I don't know. I was doing it on my own. I would get up in the morning, my phone. I said, this is what I learned all my life, and this is what I will do. And I keep telling people, today on the group, I jokingly said, when I take over, there will hopefully be 2 EEMA WhatsApp groups, not 200.
Yeah.
It's just that it becomes, sometimes becomes Chinese whispers that create some politics.
Yeah, it's usually misunderstanding. So there's no doubt about that. Roshan, as my final question, or rather chat, conversation, what do you think as a media company we can do now together? How keen we have been over the years as EVENTFAQs. Thankfully, with you, it comes at ease as part of our history of relationships. So, where do you see opportunities for us now in the new industry, in the new tenure?
There are actually, I'm going to say something which will be very, I don't know how people will react, but I've always felt this. I believe the role of media is multifold, right? Why is media the 5th pillar of a nation when they look on it, right? What did they say? Because you are meant to not just celebrate us, but also to criticize us. Mm-hmm. You are meant to be our conscience keeper. You are meant, and I think that is very important because people only feel that a media vehicle's job is to go and promote people.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that at all. I think that being able to critically appraise people is one thing. So I'm actually hoping to start. I was on a debate with the Times on Saturday, and which day I was thinking, saying, can we do an EEMA debate? Would it be fun? Imagine one a month, right? I mean, simple, one idea. Secondly, there are so many other people in our industry who again, I believe need to be celebrated. And, the media is a great place to build these things together. What about, where is the co-IPs that are done with publications? It happens across the world, right? So things like that. I mean, look at how the fashion fraternity has worked beautifully with publications.
Yes.
Beautifully, right? They cannot exist without each other. They realize their symbiotic nature of existence. But for that, we all need to sit across and, this suspicion that if I give an idea, they will take it. If they give an idea, we will take it. It needs to end. And I actually spoke to a bunch of publications that were writing during the election just to tell them, saying, listen, I'm not here to tell you, having been a media person for most of my life, occasionally I would read things and I would say, okay, fine. But my point to everyone was, why, and one or two publications I wrote to and I said, don't celebrate 2 people, celebrate all 14.
Yeah.
That is fair. Don't criticize 4 people, criticize all 14. That is fair. But we need to stop trying to play the vehicle for some people's words. No. Be the vehicle for the industry.
Absolutely.
And when you do that, you build your own value. And rightfully so, I think you wanted to organize something wonderful that happened in Dubai before the expo was going to happen, just to bring agencies to say, have a look, this is what you could do. I think you all and other publications, etc., everybody needs to play ambassadors for the industry and go beyond the 5,000 event people who get very happy reading about themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has to become the lakhs who should know about what we do. It has to become, there was a time when we started in Compass, joining an event agency was like the thrill of people's life. Let's be honest, today it's not. Today it's become, if I want to make some money and I want to set it up on my own in 2 years, let me join this place and then I do something. No. That sun moved towards digital. But Brian and I were having this chat, and Sanjoy and I were having this chat where he said that, this is the place that gave us everything we have. Our eyes light up when we're in a set, we know what it is. So let's bring that joy back.
Yeah.
And if we can, this is a God, yes, it's a pandemic, yes, it's a crisis, but it's also an opportunity. It's an opportunity to realize what can happen physically, what can happen digitally. It's an opportunity to analyze all we do and say, this I think we should let go of. Are we rightly priced? Are we rightly staffed? Are we, but there are so many questions. For people, but as an association.
Sorry, I didn't get the last bit, but I think I got the gist. Essentially, to really revisit, I think it's a great opportunity. And I look forward to it, Roshan. I look forward to working together with you as EVENTFAQs. Generally, I'm sure the sun will shine back on us, regardless of the path. I'm sure that the opportunities will come our way. And I know as an industry, we're quite the survivors. So thank you so very much for this chat, Roshan. I'm sure we'll have more opportunities to catch up, and I hope we can bring out more of your vision to the industry. And thanks to everyone for joining.
Lovely chatting with you.
Same here, Roshan.